When Melanie feigned illness to call Owen away yet again, our daughter tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, my teacher said a parent needs to sign my papers." He was in a hurry and signed the whole stack of tests without a second glance. He didn't notice the divorce agreement slipped inside. From that day on, I no longer cared where Owen went or what he did for Melanie. I even gave a like to the wedding photos they secretly took together. And for the first time, I cut off Owen's explanation, calmly wiping the lipstick stain from his collar. Owen froze, a thin veil of anger in his eyes. "Aren't you angry?" "Why would I be angry? Once the 30-day cooling-off period was over, I would be a free woman." As Owen put on his shoes, he reminded me, "Honey, I'm heading out for a bit. I'll be back late. Don't wait up." "Okay, go on." I cut him off coolly, getting up to clear the dishes into the kitchen. Owen paused. "Are you throwing a tantrum?" "No. It's going to rain tonight. You should take an umbrella." My thoughtfulness seemed to annoy him. What's the point of being so passive-aggressive? You know Melanie's asthma isn't a new thing. What if she wakes up, can't find her medicine, and something happens? I have to make sure she's asleep. "Yes, you're right. So you should go." I lowered my eyes, wringing out the hot towel in my hands, not looking at him anymore. "She's a patient. Stella, can't you be a little more understanding?" Owen's voice trailed off as his eyes fell on the towel in my hands. "She's a patient. So what? Is Mia not a patient? Her fever just broke when I was watching her day and night by myself. I don't recall you coming over to tell me she was a patient." When it came to our daughter, I couldn't stop myself from jabbing at him, perhaps out of guilt. Owen's lips moved, but he offered no defense. I walked around him and headed for our daughter's bedroom. "Be quiet on your way out. Don't wake Mia." Owen didn't speak. He just stood there silently, watching me sponge Mia down. After a long while, he said in a low voice, "Don't you and Mia both love the water chestnut cakes from Chen's? I'll come back early today and buy some." There was no response. Owen stood silently outside the door. He seemed to stand there for a very long time, so long that I thought he might actually stay with Mia and me tonight. Then his phone rang. I could faintly hear the sound of soft sobbing. Owen sighed. In the end, he left. Chen's bakery was in the south of the city, far from our home. When we were dating, he used to line up before dawn to buy them for me, rushing to my dorm before class started. But now, even if Mia begged him, he would just rub his temples, tired and impatient. "Daddy is very tired. I'll buy them for you next time." "Okay." My thoughts drifted. I stared silently out the window. I hadn't eaten those water chestnut cakes in a very long time. I should have been happy, but this time, I wanted neither the cakes from the south of the city, nor him. In 7 more days, I would be a free woman. The day Owen attended MIA's parent-teacher conference for the first time was the day Melanie's wedding date was set. Amidst the bustling school campus, she called Owen, crying, "Owen, I'm so anxious. Maybe I shouldn't get married. I feel so awful. I can't breathe. Can you please come and be with me?" Owen, who was holding MIA's hand, stopped dead in his tracks. He spoke softly into the phone, then apologetically let go of MIA's hand. "Sorry, Mia. Something's come up. Can Mommy come to the conference with you instead?" Mia was silent, as obedient as ever, but the light in her eyes slowly dimmed. Owen patted her head reassuringly, but as he turned to leave, she tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, can you sign this for me?" Mia took a neatly bound stack of test papers from her school bag and handed Owen a pen. It was a thick stack, and every single paper had a perfect score. Owen was stunned, then praised her generously. "Our Mia is so smart. A true little genius." Then he tried to coax her. "Be good. Mommy is right here, isn't she? Let her sign them for you." "Okay." Mia lowered her eyes, her long lashes trembling, her voice devoid of emotion. "My classmates say it doesn't matter how well I do. I'm still a wild kid with no father. As long as Daddy signs." The crying on the other end of the phone continued, but Owen suddenly knelt down and pulled Mia into a tight hug. 10 test papers. He signed them all in 30 seconds, quickly and decisively. So quickly that he didn't notice the divorce agreement slipped inside. After signing, Owen kissed Mia's forehead. "Daddy will definitely come to your next parent-teacher conference. Let's see who dares bully our Mia then." Mia pulled the corners of her mouth into a smile. just like the first time she had heard him make a promise. Watching his retreating back, I said softly, "Owen, you won't get another chance. You will never get another chance." Owen didn't come back last night. I felt nothing as I packed away the matching couple items to be thrown out. It was always like this, ever since Melanie was supposed to get married. A single phone call from her could summon Owen, no matter the time. It's not that I hadn't fought with him about it, but Owen would just stare at me with disappointment, his eyes filled with cold mockery. "Stella, if there was really something between Melanie and me, where would you even fit in?" Tears welled up instantly. I stood there, my mouth agape, unable to say a word. Only a sharp pain pierced my heart. We gave each other the silent treatment for a long time after that. In the end, it was Melanie who forced Owen to come and apologize. I didn't want to forgive him, but I couldn't bear to see Mia caught in the middle, tiptoeing around us, torn. I never expected that my temporary concession would only lead to him pushing his luck further. I will never forget. It was raining on my birthday, and Owen left me waiting at the restaurant for 2 hours because he was helping Melanie find her lost cat. Or the time her "I'm scared of heights. Can you change a light bulb?" phone call made him abandon me at a subway station on the way to the hospital when I was cramping so badly I couldn't stand. He just casually said, "It's on the way, anyway." And the scarf I spent 2 months learning to knit for him appeared on Melanie the very next day. Each incident was a wound etched into my memory. This time was no exception. I held my phone, quietly waiting for Melanie's social media post. Sure enough, she soon posted a photo. She was wearing a pure white wedding dress, her arm linked intimately with the man beside her. The caption read, "Wearing the dress he gave me. I guess that counts as having married him." The man's face wasn't in the picture, but after so many years of sharing a bed, how could I not recognize that familiar figure? I stared at it for a long time, then gave it my first ever like. A minute later, Melanie deleted the post. A message from Owen arrived at the same time. "Honey, don't misunderstand. I was just being a temporary model for Melanie. She said she wanted to see how it looked on." I laughed softly at the clumsy excuse. The old me would have shot back sarcastically. "Is her fiancé dead? Why do you have to be her model?" But now, I just calmly typed one word. "Okay." Owen came back as I was putting Mia to sleep. His hair was styled with mousse, and his makeup hadn't been removed. He looked rushed, as if he had just shed his groom's suit. Seeing I was still awake, his expression brightened. "Were you waiting for me?" "Sorry, honey. Today, her fiancé is out of town and couldn't make it back. So I just went with Melanie to pick out a dress and give some advice. We only took one photo," he explained eagerly, as if terrified I would misunderstand. I hummed softly, cutting him off. "I know." Owen froze. Seeing I had no other reaction, he turned to leave, but then stepped forward and took my hand. A chill hit me, mixed with the faint scent of pastries. Only then did I seem to notice the box of water chestnut cakes in his arms. It was snowing outside. Frost coated his hair and eyelashes. He looked like a pale ice sculpture. Only the box of cakes in his arms radiated warmth. "I stood in line to buy these today. They're still warm." He opened the box and looked straight at me. I silently took it and placed it on the table. "Thank you. Is there nothing else you want to say?" Owen's grip on my hand tightened, his eyes darkening with anger. Up close, I finally saw the lipstick print on his shirt collar. A bold, glaring red. I reached up and calmly wiped it away for him. "Your shirt is dirty." Owen flinched, but his face turned completely cold. The pressure on my wrist became painful, but Owen didn't seem to notice. He stared at me, his voice laced with icy rage. "Aren't you angry?" My gaze remained steady as I pulled my hand free. "If there's nothing else, I'm going to bed." But Owen suddenly exploded, pinning me against the wall. "Stella, even playing hard to get has its limits. You just want my attention, don't you?" "Fine. I admit it. You've won." With that, he leaned in, his angry kisses landing on my face, my neck. I was terrified, my mind going blank. Then, seeing that glaring lipstick stain again, a wave of uncontrollable nausea and fury washed over me. My stomach churned, and I covered my mouth, struggling desperately. But the difference in strength between us was too great, no matter how much I pushed. Owen held me fast. My struggles were futile. I gradually gave up, leaning against the wall in despair as tears streamed down my face. Owen stopped, seeing my tears. He looked anxious and agitated. There was a hint of helplessness and panic in his eyes, and a faint flicker of fear. He pressed his face against my neck and muttered, "Stella, don't be like this." Like what? I was the one being held captive. The one being forced. What was he afraid of? His phone rang. It was Melanie again. Owen stared at me as he answered. Melanie was crying again, gasping that she was scared. But Owen only looked into my eyes, his tone firm, but his gaze pleading. "Ask me to stay. Stella, just say the word. Go ahead." I looked away and cut him off softly. "Don't keep her waiting." Owen stared at me, then suddenly laughed, his voice vicious. "Fine. Stella, you've got guts." With that, he slammed the box of water chestnut cakes to the floor and left without looking back. The delicate pastry shattered. A complete mess. I stared at the crumbs, an overwhelming exhaustion washing over me. He had forgotten that I used to ask him to stay. Many times. In return, I was accused of being inconsiderate, making a big deal out of nothing, and being cold and heartless. This time, I was tired. I didn't want to ask him anymore. Now I was being what he wanted. Understanding, generous, thoughtful. Why was he the one who was unhappy? "Mommy, Mommy." MIA's faint voice suddenly called out. The moment I rushed into the bedroom, my vision narrowed. MIA's face was bluish-purple, her breathing ragged. Her whole body had started to convulse as she unconsciously called for me. My hands trembled as I picked her up, my mind a complete blank. "Mia, Mia, what's wrong? Don't scare Mommy. Please don't scare Mommy." I was frantic, reaching out to touch my daughter's burning forehead. "Why is your fever back? We have to go to the hospital." I fumbled for my phone to call Owen, my voice cracking into a sob. "Answer the phone, Owen. Answer the phone." But I called 5 times, and each time the line was busy. I switched to WeChat and sent him a flurry of frantic messages. "Answer your phone. Mia is having a febrile seizure. Come back and take her to the hospital. Mia can't wait. Come back now." After a long time, Owen replied with a single voice message, his tone indifferent. "Stop acting. Stella. If you play hard to get for too long, it stops being interesting." So he thought this was all just another one of my games. The phone slipped from my hand, the screen shattering on the floor along with my last shred of hope. An icy coldness filled my heart. I held Mia tightly, all my emotions instantly crystallizing into calm resolve. I quickly wiped away my tears and dialed for an ambulance. By the time the ambulance sirens finally wailed, Mia was unconscious. As I ran downstairs barefoot, my foot was cut by a shard of a broken beer bottle. A trail of bloody footprints led all the way to the emergency room. I stood outside the ER, the belated sting in my foot so sharp I could barely stand. Time stretched on, agonizingly slow. So slow that the pain in my foot had turned to numbness. A message finally pulled me back from my torment. It was Melanie. Her voice was as gentle as ever, with a hint of coyness. "Stella, you don't mind if I borrow Owen for a couple of days, do you? It's all my fault." I told him I was getting pre-wedding jitters, so he offered to take me on a little trip. "We might not be back for a while. Sorry to trouble you with taking care of Mia alone." At the end of the voice message, Owen's impatient sigh could be heard. "What are you telling her for?" I suddenly gripped my phone, my knuckles turning white. I looked up at the stark fluorescent lights of the emergency room, desperately holding back the tears that threatened to fall. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, it rang. It was my boss, Liana. "Stella, I managed to get you the subsidized company apartment, plus a spot for your daughter at the attached elementary school. I heard a specialist for your daughter's condition just arrived there. Are you sure you don't want to consider coming to the branch office in Northwood City with me? It'll be tough, but the prospects are. I'll go with you." I cut Liana off. "What?" Liana was taken aback. I took a deep breath and repeated in a hoarse voice, "Liana, I'm willing to go to Northwood with you." Liana was overjoyed, repeating "good" 3 times. After thanking her, I immediately went home to pack. The house was empty. I opened Melanie's social media. Her location was already set to a hotel in another city. Perfect. 5 days left. By the time they returned, the cooling-off period would be over. I looked up at the home we had shared for 10 years. So many memories, big and small. After a month of sorting things out bit by bit, there wasn't much left to take. As I closed the door, I took one last look at our wedding photo in the living room and threw it in the trash. I couldn't describe the feeling as I mailed the divorce papers. Staring at the bustling crowd at the airport gate, I let out a long breath and boarded the plane to Northwood. My best friend, Chloe, suddenly sent me a message. Stella, big news. Melanie isn't getting married at all. Those people were all actors she hired to trick you both. My eyes flew open, my hands gripping the armrests tightly. Of course, it was all her own little drama. The motive was obvious, but now, it had nothing to do with me. I slowly relaxed my fingers, gazing at the sea of clouds outside the window. Their business was their own. I no longer cared. Stella was being a little too quiet this time. Owen stood outside the dressing room, anxiously scrolling through his phone. Usually, whenever he was out with Melanie, Stella would bombard him with calls and texts, driving him crazy. But this time, there wasn't a single message. She had said Mia was having a seizure, but he had clearly seen her tuck Mia into bed. How could she have a fever again? She must be playing games again. He had to admit, her latest trick had gotten to him a little. But she should also remember that his patience had its limits. He had already given her a chance. Owen's gaze fixed on the last 3 messages Stella had sent. But this time, what if? What if something had really happened to Mia? Before he could think further, his eyes were suddenly covered. Owen, you're going to love this surprise. Melanie gently covered his eyes and led him to a certain spot. The sound of popping confetti exploded. Before him stood Melanie in a wedding dress. The long gown, adorned with sparkling diamonds, shimmered. Her face was full of sweet joy as she held out a document. Owen, I'm so happy. We can finally be together. Officially. A sudden tightness gripped Owen's heart. A strong sense of unease crept up his spine. Owen, Stella has already signed. Smack. Melanie's words were cut short. Owen stared at the divorce agreement in her hand and snatched it away. Impossible. Owen was in disbelief. He clenched the thin sheets of paper, the veins on his hand popping. But your signature is right there. Signed by your own hand. Owen froze, suddenly remembering the stack of test papers Mia had given him. In an instant, rage consumed him. Stella was getting bold, daring to trick him like this. Hadn't she been playing games and throwing tantrums just to get his attention? Hadn't she been trying to compete with Melanie for a place in his heart? Fine. This time he would give her what she wanted. He violently tore the divorce agreement to shreds and stormed out. Melanie frantically grabbed his arm. Owen, where are you going? Owen pulled his arm free and walked on without looking back. To find my wife. Seeing she couldn't stop him, Melanie shouted. She's trying to divorce you. What kind of wife is that? Owen, look at me. I'm still wearing the wedding dress you picked out for me. Don't you want to marry me? Owen stopped abruptly and replied without emotion. That's just your own fantasy. I only see you as a sister. But Melanie didn't believe him. Then why were you so good to me? We took wedding photos together. You came to this hotel with me. Are you telling me you don't have a single shred of feeling for me? Melanie was weeping, but Owen was suddenly stunned. He believed his conscience was clear. He hadn't done anything inappropriate with Melanie. The lipstick stain that day was just an accident when he was changing. But if even Melanie thought this way, what about Stella? How much pain must she have been in? For the first time, a sliver of regret bloomed in Owen's heart, and he quickened his pace. Melanie lifted her skirt and chased after him, crying, Owen, come back. Owen. Owen didn't stop. He didn't have time to process why Melanie had faked a wedding to trick him. His mind was consumed with one thought. Get to Northwood and drag Stella back. Make her understand that she was his wife, and that she had to be his wife for the rest of her life. Mia had just been taken into surgery when Owen's call came. I glanced at the screen and hung up, but Owen was relentless, calling again and again. Liana was with me. She already knew what had happened. Seeing Owen's name, she rolled her eyes. Listen to me. Don't you dare go soft on him. Men are pathetic. They'll do anything to trick you into coming back. Don't fall for it. I smiled and turned off my phone. Don't worry, I won't. Liana then stared at the operating room door, looking puzzled. I heard this specialist just came back from abroad and is very hard to book. I was about to pull some strings, but they admitted her as soon as they heard your name. Do you know him? I was baffled. I thought you handled it. Liana was confused too, but our confusion was soon cleared up. The operating room doors opened, and a man in a white coat, calm and composed, extended his hand to me. It's been a long time, Stella. I took his hand, looking at his familiar face, feeling as if a lifetime had passed. It has been a long time, Ethan. Ethan was my high school literature teacher's son, and also my ex-boyfriend. He had always been a golden boy, a prodigy, like all middle-aged teachers. My literature teacher loved to talk about her son in class. How considerate he was, how outstanding, how he made her proud. One bold girl once teased, "Teacher, is he handsome?" Someone next to her laughed. "You don't know. Her son is Ethan, the senior, the top student." The girl's face turned red before she could finish. Ethan. I spun my pen, not thinking of his worn-out photo on the honor roll, but of the glaringly high scores beneath it. Later, we ended up at the same university. To my surprise, he remembered me. Stella from class 21. The academic powerhouse. Right. My mom mentioned you often. I was flattered, but it also felt natural. After all, I had always been the other person's child in my parents' stories. The exceptional are always drawn to one another. Naturally, we started dating. He was wonderful, gentle, polite, well-mannered, and he never crossed any lines. This sense of propriety made me feel safe, but also distant. As the campus golden couple, everyone said he loved me deeply, but I couldn't feel it. It was like lava trapped beneath a layer of ice. No matter how intensely his unspoken love burned, all I ever felt was the shifting ice on the surface. Until he went abroad to study, and the ice finally broke. Smart people know when to stop. So our breakup was relatively amicable. Later, I met Owen, and we lost all contact. After all these years, I never expected to see him again like this. Outside the hospital room, I gathered my thoughts, but all I could manage was a dry, thank you. Ethan smiled. You're welcome. It's my job. Looking at Mia on the bed, I was worried. My daughter. Don't worry. The surgery was a success. She just needs to rest and recover now. That's good. A great weight lifted from my heart. I could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Thank you for helping me so much. If you have time, could I treat you to a meal? Ethan paused for a moment. I felt awkward and quickly said, "It's fine if you don't. You must be busy." Ethan smiled again. Not busy. I have time. As he spoke, a voice laced with icy rage cut in. So this is why you were in such a hurry to divorce me. You'd already found your next man. I turned to see Owen standing not far away, his expression grim. And who might this be? Ethan asked, turning his head. My ex-husband. I replied casually. Owen's hands, hanging at his sides, clenched into fists, his face turning dark as a storm cloud. Stella, I haven't agreed to a divorce. Ignoring him, I turned to go back into the room, but Owen grabbed my arm. Stella, come back with me now, and I'll pretend none of this ever happened. I frowned. Let go. But Owen seemed not to hear. Continuing. I admit I was cold to you before, but that was because I was considering Melanie's condition as a patient. She tricked me. I promise. It will never happen again. Are you done? If you're done, let go. I looked up at him, my gaze steady. Stella, Mr. Ex-husband, didn't you hear her tell you to let go? Ethan smiled, gripping Owen's wrist and pulling him away. His movements were elegant, yet they held an undeniable authority. The words Mr. Ex-husband seemed to strike a nerve with Owen. He glared at Ethan, his eyes turning crimson. Who the hell are you? Stella is my damn wife. Ethan looked down at him, his gaze cold. At 61, Owen was already tall, but Ethan was taller still. When he stared down at someone without expression, it was like a mountain about to collapse, creating an immense pressure. Owen's shouting had attracted attention. I was both embarrassed and annoyed, and quickly apologized to Ethan. I'm so sorry for causing you trouble. Ethan's expression softened. It's fine. Stella, your husband isn't even dead yet, and you're already flirting with another man. Smack. I turned and slapped Owen hard across the face. Owen, if you have any conscience left, go in there and look at your daughter, who just had surgery, instead of making a scene out here like a madman. Besides, what right do you have to stand here and accuse me? Have you forgotten your dear sister Melanie? Owen froze, his Adam's apple bobbing. without another glance at him. I muttered an apology to Ethan and went into the room. Owen followed, seeing Mia on the bed. His eyes were instantly filled with regret. He opened his mouth to speak, but finally said hoarsely, "I'm sorry. I thought. You thought I was using Mia to trick you into coming back." I sneered, finishing his sentence. Owen opened his mouth again, then whispered another sorry. The room fell silent. He stood behind me, watching me tuck Mia in. After a moment of silence, he said, "I really only see Melanie as a sister. The lipstick stain that day was an accident. It happened when I was changing, and going out of town with her was because that day you made me so angry. I acted impulsively." "Yes, I know," I replied coolly. Owen frowned. "Stella, I've explained everything. What's the point of being so passive-aggressive?" My tone was flat. "You should have received the divorce agreement. The Civil Affairs office is open on Friday. Let's go and get the certificate." Owen's anger flared instantly. "Stella, I'm warning you. Don't push it. As soon as Mia wakes up, you're coming back to Cloud City with me." I'll pretend I never saw the divorce agreement. Seeing my silence, his tone softened. "Stella, I know I messed up, but you can't just sentence me to death for one mistake. Let's not get a divorce. Okay? You know I love you and Mia the most. Love me and Mia the most." I lowered my head and let out a soft laugh. "Are you talking about the parent-teacher conference Mia waited 3 months for, while you went to the park with Melanie? Or my birthday, when you left me at the restaurant for 6 hours to watch the sunrise with her, then brought me a bouquet of withered roses at dawn? Or when I fell down the stairs, and you only cared about catching her as she pretended to trip, watching me fracture my tailbone and then scolding me for playing the victim? Or even when MIA's fever was so high her life was in danger, and you were still by her side?" By the end, my eyes were red. I had told myself not to cry over him anymore, but why couldn't I stop the burning in my eyes? "Owen, you really do love us so much." With every word I spoke, Owen's face grew paler. The words were like sharp knives, hitting their mark precisely. He clenched his fists, opening his mouth helplessly, unable to say a thing. But I felt no sense of victory, only a nameless sorrow. I realized with clarity that these words had not only hurt him, but me as well. "Daddy." Mia had woken up at some point, her small face pale as she looked at Owen. "Mia, how are you?" Owen rushed to the bed, eagerly taking MIA's hand, only to find a crumpled piece of paper in her palm. It was the wish voucher Owen had promised her when she was 6. She had been so excited about it, unsure of how to use it. Should she ask her dad to take her to Disneyland? Or to come to her parent-teacher conference? Or maybe just to read her a short bedtime story? But none of it ever happened, because Owen always had another call to take. Melanie was crying. Melanie was sick. Melanie was unhappy. So until Mia fell ill, the voucher remained clutched tightly in her hand. MIA's lips moved slightly as she whispered, "Daddy, can I use this voucher now?" "Of course. Daddy will give you whatever you want," Owen said quickly, holding her small hand tightly. Then, "Daddy, can you leave now? I don't want to see you." Owen was stunned. He blinked slowly, unable to find his voice. "What?" I was also frozen, looking at Mia in shock. "Daddy, my wish is for you to leave. I don't want to see Mommy sad anymore. I don't want to see you two fight anymore. I just want Mommy to live a good life, without being hurt because of you. Daddy, please, don't make Mommy cry anymore." The color drained from Owen's face. He stood by the bed like a lifeless statue. The small piece of paper suddenly seemed heavier than a mountain, crushing the air from his lungs. "Okay, Daddy will listen to you." Owen's voice was hoarse. He forced a stiff smile and walked out with heavy steps. I couldn't hold back any longer. I hugged Mia and broke down in tears. For the next few days, Owen canceled all his work and spent every day at the hospital. He bought the Lena Bell doll Mia had always wanted and my favorite blue roses. He took off his suit and watch and cooked my favorite dishes himself every day, as if trying to make up for years of neglect. But he never mentioned the divorce. In the hospital room, Owen looked at Mia with hopeful eyes. "Mia, this is your favorite doll. I'm sorry. Daddy was wrong. I promise. I will never let you or Mommy be sad again. Can you forgive me?" Mia didn't answer, just lowered her eyes and took the doll. "Thank you, Daddy." Owen was stung by her distant reaction, but he forced a gentle tone. "Okay, Then you rest now. Daddy will come see you again this afternoon. In the hallway, Owen pressed a container of hot porridge into my hands. I made this seafood porridge myself. The fish and shrimp were flown in from South Shore. Try it. It's good for your stomach. The fragrant steam rose. I suddenly remembered the time I had stomach pains after working late into the night. And Owen would rather stay home and make shrimp dumplings with Melanie than bother to have someone deliver me a box of medicine. A sharp pain pierced my heart. I glanced down at the porridge and tried to give it back. Thank you. I'm not hungry. When do you have time for us to? Owen's eyes reddened, and he cut me off emotionally. Stella, I am not getting a divorce. Don't even think about it. He looked at me, his handsome features filled with pleading. Stella, I know I was a bastard. I was so wrong. But how can you be so cruel as to not even give me a chance to change? Didn't you love me the most? I sighed, not wanting to argue further. I turned to leave but ran into Ethan. I felt awkward, not knowing how much he had heard. Ethan glanced at the porridge in my hands, then at Owen, and asked me with a smile. I happen to be a bit hungry, if you don't mind. Stella, could I have it? The hospital cafeteria is probably closed by now. His tone was perfectly polite, yet it held a hint of pitifulness. Owen gritted his teeth. That's for my wife. And who do you think you are? Calling her Stella. Here. I quickly thrust the porridge into Ethan's arms, as if getting rid of a hot potato. Owen was red with anger, but Ethan just smiled, ignoring the undercurrent between them. I left as soon as I had handed it over. Owen chased after me, hurt and wounded. Stella, how could you give the food I made for you to someone else? He had probably forgotten. When Melanie first came back, he said she was weak and that I was a good cook, so I should nurse her back to health. She didn't eat onions or garlic, preferred sweet things, and had a light palate. He had described her preferences in such detail, as if afraid I would neglect her. And now he was so upset just because I gave the food he made to someone else. His double standards were unbelievable. I scoffed and ignored him. For 2 whole months, Owen stayed at the hospital. During that time, Melanie called him countless times, begging him to come back. But Owen remained unmoved. Melanie finally couldn't take it anymore. She went to his company and found his executive assistant. In the video, she looked like she was on her deathbed, her beautiful face stained with tears. Owen, I know I shouldn't have tricked you, but you've been like family to me since we were children. I just like you so much. I'm sorry. I've been blaming myself every day since you left. I wanted to apologize to you and Stella in person, but my heart is getting weaker every day. I think I'm dying. I don't expect you to love me. I don't expect you to accept my apology. I just want to see you one last time. Can you please come back and see me? Owen looked away, his fists clenching and unclenching. I continued to peel an apple for Mia, not saying a word. In the suffocating silence, Owen gritted his teeth. Stella, wait for me. My hand didn't stop, but the apple peel in my hand gently snapped. As he left, Owen promised, this will be the last time I see her. I'll be back as soon as I've dealt with things over there. Okay. I nodded, smiled slightly, and closed the door to the hospital room. In the days Owen was gone, I shuttled between the company and the hospital, often skipping meals. A sharp pain twisted in my stomach, making my vision swim. I fainted before I even reached the hospital. I woke up in Ethan's office. He was sitting in front of me, staring at me without blinking. When he saw I was awake, he brought me a glass of water. I know you've been busy, but you need to take care of yourself. I'll look after Mia at the hospital. You just focus on work. His actions were natural, with an ill-timed gentleness. I was no longer a naive young girl. I knew what he meant, and I was grateful to him for helping with Mia at the hospital these past days, giving me a moment to breathe. I paused, then said hesitantly, Ethan, as you can see, I've just been through a failed marriage, so for now, I'm not looking for anything like that. Ethan looked away, a little flustered. I know, don't feel pressured. I'm just, bang. The office door was suddenly thrown open. Owen stood in the doorway, looking travel-worn, his eyes glacial. What are you doing to my wife? Ethan frowned. Mr. Jean, please close the door. Stella has a cold and can't be in a draft. Owen strode forward and stood in front of me, staring at Ethan with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Thanks. But my wife doesn't need your concern. Ethan gave a sarcastic smile. You didn't seem to think she was your wife when you were abandoning her and your child for someone else. You have some nerve coming back. I thought you died out there. You. Owen's face turned ashen, seeing they were about to fight. I closed my eyes wearily and said in a hoarse voice, Owen, what's the point of deceiving yourself like this? Let go. It's better for both of us. I want. Owen's eyes suddenly reddened, like a lost child. Stella, just give me some time. I will make it up to you and Mia. Believe me, no one will ever love you more than I do. A scoff sounded. Ethan spun his watch with a half smile. Mr. Ex-husband, you should be careful not to bite your tongue with such big talk. Owen shot him a venomous look, but before he could speak, Ethan cut him off. Mr. Ex-husband, if you please, this is my private office. Don't make me call security. Ethan gestured towards the door, emphasizing the words Mr. Ex-husband. Owen gritted his teeth, his sharp gaze as if trying to bore a hole through Ethan. Finally, he suppressed his anger and said, Stella, wait for me. I won't give up. The smile on Ethan's face didn't waver, but his eyes clearly said, get out. After Owen returned, he stayed by my side and MIAs constantly. Whenever I mentioned the divorce, he would choke up, begging and apologizing, swearing he had cut ties with Melanie. I remained unmoved. If he wanted to drag this out, then so be it. The day Mia was discharged, I took her to Disneyland as promised. Owen followed us. Not too close, not too far. It was MIA's happiest day, but no one expected what would happen after we left. I was holding MIA's hand, not noticing a silver gray car speeding towards us. Watch out. Owen's eyes widened in terror. He dropped what he was holding and lunged at us. Everything seemed to slow down. I watched as the car got closer and closer. In a flash, a black car shot out from the side and slammed into the silver car. Bang! The deafening sound of the collision exploded. The world spun. Owen grabbed Mia and me, pushing us back just in time to avoid the impact. But he was thrown by the force of the car, landing on the grass, unconscious. Thick black smoke poured from the silver car. Inside was Melanie. As the police dragged her away, her expression was sorrowful, tinged with madness. But we promised when we were little. I was supposed to be your most beautiful bride. Owen, you broke your promise. How could you be so cruel? Ethan got out of the other car and stumbled towards me. Stella, are you okay? Before I could answer, tears streamed down my face, and my hands were shaking uncontrollably. Hang on. The ambulance. The ambulance is on its way. 3 days later, Owen woke up, and he agreed to the divorce. He lay in the hospital bed, his face pale, his head wrapped in bandages, one leg suspended in the air. Seeing me, he propped himself up. We looked at each other in silence. After a long time, Owen said in a hoarse voice, I'm sorry. I almost let you and Mia. He paused, as if trying to suppress a sob. I know I messed up, and I was foolishly hoping you wouldn't let go. But now it seems I only bring you danger and tears. I'm sorry. I won't tie you down anymore. I just want you to be safe. Let's get a divorce. The sunlight outside the window was warm and bright. I suddenly remembered the afternoon we fell in love in college. He had used the same careful tone, his face red as he asked if I would be his girlfriend. The sun had cast a golden halo around him, so dazzling I couldn't look directly at him. From strangers to friends to lovers, we had been together for 16 years. But the love we had sworn would be eternal had, in the end, met a sad fate. I took a deep, quiet breath, forcing back the tears that welled in my eyes. Okay, Monday at the Civil Affairs office. I'll be waiting. Owen's eyes suddenly reddened, his voice trembling. Stella, can you hug me one last time? I paused, but did not turn back. Get some rest. The person behind me said nothing more. Only a very faint sob could be heard. The day I got my divorce certificate, Ethan came to see me. The wound on his arm hadn't fully healed. As he moved, the wound pulled, and he hissed in pain. But his eyes were filled with an irrepressible smile. Congratulations on your freedom. Stella, I sighed. Why are you running around with an injury? Despite my words, I was very grateful to him. If he hadn't crashed into Melanie's car, I couldn't imagine what would have happened to Mia and me. As for why he was there, it was an unspoken understanding between us. I wasn't opposed to Ethan's feelings. but I wasn't ready to jump into another relationship. Ethan seemed to read my mind. Don't feel pressured. I told you. I'm willing. In all the years we were apart, I never stopped regretting it. To be honest, I was there the day you married him. That day, I clearly understood what my lack of expression had cost me. I don't want to lose you again. I raised my eyebrows in surprise. So, Ethan held up a book he was carrying. On the cover were a few large words. How to be a good husband and a good father. I rolled my eyes. In your dreams. If you want to be my child's stepfather, get in line. Well, that's what I'm working on, isn't it? Ethan's lips curved into a slight smile. I couldn't help but smile too. The trees on the street were lush and green. In the gentle spring breeze, I welcomed my new life.